Alright, this is the final video of Turn of the Century. There's not as much here. We only have about an hour total of videos for you guys. Normally it's about 2 hours. It's about an hour each week, but this one's not going to take as long. So you guys can see your schedule here. Next Friday you'll be done with everything, including the test, and you should have received these on Tuesday. All of these on like last Tuesday. So you should have had plenty of time to get all this stuff done. This video is going to focus on new foods and drinks, the selling of goods, consumerism, and advertising. I'm going to add in consumerism here. Alright, let's get into it. So what we see is this new idea where companies are starting to produce things based on what people want. So we see capitalism really beginning and really thriving, and it's being driven by the consumer. So consumerism, as you see down here at the bottom, it is a society that is preoccupied with the acquisition of consumer goods. It's the first time it's happened in our society. So what businesses are doing is they're smart. They want to make money, and so you give the people what they want by making things. Hershey's chocolate, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, all those types of things are being created in the last half of the 1800s. If you guys do research and you go back, that's where a lot of our goods were created. It's pretty interesting to look at this. This is Coca-Cola, and it's an advertisement. You can see what they thought it was good for, and you can also see some sexism in here as well. It says Coca-Cola is a delightful, palatable, and healthful beverage. So palatable means it tastes good. Healthful means it's good for you. It relieves fatigue and is indispensable for men. All right, so let's look and see how it describes men. It says men are business and professionals. They are students, wheelmen, and athletes. So that's how it describes men. And then let's look at the way it describes for women. It relieves mental and physical exhaustion, is the favorite drink for ladies when thirsty and weary and despondent. That means basically sad. Alright, so it describes men as business and professionals, students, women, athletes, and girls are thirsty, weary, and sad. So you can see how advertisements have changed. And prices. It was 5 cents back then, not so much anymore. This is going to lead us into imperialism. And what this is newspapers and journalism is going to become a really big thing. And if you remember back a few videos ago, we talked about the fact that they could print news a lot faster, which meant they could put it out every day, and people just ate that stuff up. You guys know how you're getting your streaks and those types of things on social media. Well, when you wake up, bam, I got to get my streaks. Well, people had to have their news. So it's the same thing now, only it's through a different type of medium. Back then, people wanted to read books, and people wanted to get their newspapers, and now you guys are just reading that same stuff just on a device. So they talk like you guys are a lot different, you're addicted to your devices and those types of things. And while all of that is probably true, people have been addicted to newspapers and books and magazines and that stuff for the last 100 and 120 years. So it's just a different medium that they are getting that information. So we're going to talk about something called yellow journalism later on in the next unit. But in here, these people are trying to sell newspapers. So what they do is they have outrageous headlines, they do promotional stunts, they make up news, hashtag fake news, and they institute Sunday editions. All right, so you guys can see here, peace treaty is ratified, awful slaughter. So they use these big headlines to try to get the reader to go, oh, I got to pay for this so I can read what's going on. The next thing is something called dime novels. Dime novels mainly because that's how much they cost. The growing literacy rate and cheaper priced books, both of those things led to the creation of dime novels. And I know here it says 5 cents. I don't know what this is. But basically, kids back in the day, they would love to get these. They would come out like every week, and they would go to the store, and you can see right here where it says number 113, they'd have to get the new edition so they would know what would happen. It's the same thing as TV, where when you watch a series and you see episode 1, and then at the end of that episode there's a cliffhanger, and you're like, oh, I can't wait till next week. Well, what we do today is we just binge and we watch the whole season or whatever in like one sitting. Like take Stranger Things, for example. When that comes out in the summertime, everybody's like, well, I'm going to watch the whole thing in like a day, and that's what we do. Well, back in the day, they had to wait a week because they had to write, print, and send it out, and then everybody would run to the store on whatever day it would come out, and they would buy all of these up. Pretty interesting stuff. Selling of goods and advertising. Advertisements became very prominent in society. You would see them on railroad signs. You'd see them in newspapers. You'd see billboards. You would see barns painted. So people were advertising those things. It was one of the most popular things that you would see back then. Goods were bought in different ways. So now, instead of just going to the store to buy stuff, you could have a mail order catalog. You could go to shopping centers. There was also something called RFD, which was Rural Free Delivery, which meant if you lived out in the country, you could get things delivered for free, and you didn't have to pay an absurd amount just for somebody to bring you something if you did a mail order or something like that. So you guys can see here, Rural Free Delivery, they would take your stuff and they would take it out to you. All right, so it would normally take longer, but you would get your stuff. And again, there were shopping centers, and you guys can see here, this is in your bigger cities. You would have different stores. So if you go into a place like Belleville, Shelby, those older places, older towns, Ontario's a little bit different. They would have this in their downtown area. Same if you go into downtown Mansfield. And then right here you see the Sears and Roebuck catalog, and basically this would have everything in it. And I remember as a kid getting these, and my brothers and sisters and I would basically all go into it and circle everything. We'd get one that was about 2 inches thick in November, where we would go in and pick out all of our Christmas toys and stuff we wanted for Christmas. And that was out of the Sears catalog. All right, that is it for this unit. If you have questions, please make sure you ask your teacher. You guys have a great day. Make sure you get your questions done and your tests taken care of when that is posted.